On this week's Tuesday Talk, we are discussing something that we've had a few of our viewers ask us, which is, did we consider buying a vintage Airstream and renovating it?
Yes, but no.
That's pretty much the answer. So one, we are semi-handy, but...
Well, first of all, we love the look of vintage Airstreams.
Yes, we do.
They are shiny, like much, much shinier than the newer Airstreams.
Yes.
They take a little bit more work to keep them shiny, but you can really tell. I mean, you could always tell an Airstream on the road, but especially vintage Airstreams.
And we knew we weren't going to buy a new Airstream, so we knew we wanted to kind of renovate a bit and make the Airstream inside feel like us. And with a vintage Airstream, you have to do that because you're pretty much starting from scratch. Most people tear it down.
Just completely. gut the inside.
Because often you need to replace subfloor and all sorts of stuff. So I think dream world, if we had lots of money and lots of time, a vintage Airstream might have been what we wanted.
Well, we considered it so much, we actually went to look at some older Airstreams at a local dealer here. And once we stepped inside, we really started to get the realization of what we were going to have to do to these vintage units to actually make them livable.
So
it was a complete gut job, and we're pretty much starting with just the shell, and we're putting everything into it.
Which I think would be fun.
If it wasn't our home.
Yes, so we wanted to move out of our house, so we were on a time schedule, and that was going to be an issue, one. Two, we don't really have the tools or know anybody who has the tools to do that kind of work. So it would have been, not only would have been a huge learning experience on our own because we don't have friends who would be able to help us.
And that's a big part of it.
But we would also have to buy all the tools in order to do it because we couldn't borrow. And three, we would need some place to do this. And
we don't have a shop.
We don't have a shop. We don't even have a yard where they'd allow us to have an Airstream. There are very few houses in the Tucson area, unless it's an older house, that allows you to have your RV by your house or in the driveway or anything because of HOAs here in the Arizona, Tucson area.
Honestly, though, even if we did have the space, we probably wouldn't have gone through with it just based on the sheer amount of work and the know-how that we really don't have
I have to say,
put into them.
If we're on the road for a few years, I mean, I don't think we're going to get rid of Charlie. We love Charlie. But if we knew people who had done an Airstream reno or something of that magnitude and had the tools and the know-how and were willing to help us, I think it would be a lot of fun. He probably just sees the enormous amount of work because he doesn't care so much about the finishes and things like that I care about.
I'd probably have fun with some parts of it. Maybe not all parts, but some parts.
But I think it would be an amazing learning experience. We'd know everything about everything at that point in our home, and I think it would just be awesome.
We would definitely know how it all works.
Yes. So the answer was dream world, yes. Real world, no. We did not want to renovate a vintage Airstream.
Practically, that probably wouldn't have worked all that well for us.
I think if you want to renovate something to that scope, you need to have some place to do it that's not going to require you driving really far distances and paying extra rent if you're trying to save money, because that doesn't really make sense. Two, you need to have a much longer time frame than what you probably think, and a lot longer than what we had. I would give yourself at least 6 months.
At least, depending on what you were starting with.
Yeah, and how much time you could devote to it. If it's in your front yard, like obviously any free time you can devote to it. If you have to drive somewhere to get to it, that's going to make it more difficult. And then if you are handy, if you have tools, if you know someone who has tools, if you know somebody who's done something like this and they're willing to lend their expertise, that would make a huge difference both in time and finances, I think.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, of course, there's always a possibility of you just going into it not knowing what you're doing, but you have your Airstream or RV or house that you live in right now. You're very comfortable. You can take your time. You can make mistakes. It doesn't matter. You'll eventually get to your goal, to your destination.
And I think it would be awesome.
But there's no time constraints. You just go at your own pace. Yeah. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that, and we would probably do that if the right circumstances came around.
Exactly. Like I said, it just didn't work out for us for what we wanted. We wanted to get out of our house and sell it to get closer to our retirement.
Our schedule was a little tighter. Yeah.
And we just didn't have the space or the resources that we would have needed.
Yeah.
So
that's ultimately why we didn't.
Yeah. So that's why we chose a 2005 Airstream.
It was old enough.
It was old enough that we can do the renovations we want to do. We can change out floors. We can paint walls. We can do things and not feel weird about the fact that the Airstream's still really new, and I don't know, it just feels weird to do.
It was one of those move-in ready units. It may not have had the finishes we wanted, but it was livable. We moved right in. Everything worked. It was all good.
And we're slowly making
it was all good that way.
Exactly what we want. So,
step by step.
Step by step.
Slowly coming together.
Yeah, we've done a bunch of renovations, which I'll make sure that we have in the description below, and we have more to come.
Yes, always more to come.
Yeah. That's it for this Tuesday. If you have any questions about our Airstream life so far, our planned travels in a couple of months, please...
It's coming up pretty quick.
It is. Please leave us those questions in the comments below, because we're looking for more Tuesday Talk ideas.
Always.
And as always, if you like these videos, and subscribe if you haven't already, we'd really appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for watching.
Yep. See you next time.
Bye.
Bye.